Marvel has become the biggest film franchise on the planet, releasing over 10 movies and television shows in 2022. They're usually released to polarizing reviews, and their newest release, Thor: Love and Thunder, was no different. The second lowest rated Thor film on IMDb, it's had its fair share of negative reviews. We're going to take a look at 7 of the biggest mistakes. First, let's discuss the horrible CGI. When you're creating a film that focuses on gods of lightning and ancient beings, you're going to have to use some CGI to show the things that practical effects artists just can't create. This only becomes a problem when films are rushed and the VFX artists who work on the film don't have enough time to get things right. You can find yourself left with CGI animated characters that look either silly or just incredibly stupid. Thor: Love and Thunder is one of the films that falls victim to horrible CGI. Some have attributed the horrid effects to Marvel's use of the volume, which is new technology that's used to replace green screens by having the actor stand in front of a curved screen with the background placed behind them. Obviously, it won't be that easy to replicate the effects of green screen. This was proven by fans' pure hatred of the CGI effects they saw within the film. It was not only fans who had something to say on the matter, the writer and director of this film, Taika Waititi, also had some things to say about the horrible visual effects, even going as far as to publicly mock a few of the scenes in the movie. Second, let's look at how fans reacted to Thor's new sense of humor. Both this new film and Taika Waititi's first attempt at a Thor movie, Thor Ragnarok, have had an added inclusion of a Thor that is more comedical. There have been many memes and YouTube videos showcasing the path that Thor went on, in which he over time began to take things less and less serious. By Ragnarok, Thor's films had been categorized under the comedy sections. Fans have also pointed out that some of the jokes in Thor: Love and Thunder were recycled from the previous Thor movie. Fans have also said that the jokes written into the film that were original sometimes went on too long, far past the point of being funny. Having too many jokes in the film is a problem that viewers have ridiculed Marvel for the last couple years, mostly mocking how cliché or overused most of the jokes in the franchise are. This film has been criticized for almost seeming not to care. Its nihilistic style of writing seemed to anger fans each time they found themselves laughing, which they felt was more than they should for what's supposed to be a super serious superhero movie about a literal god who fought against Thanos himself. Let's look at how the film was compared to Thor's previous solo movie. As stated before, this is the second Thor movie to be made by Taika Waititi, 2017's Ragnarok being the first. As soon as Love and Thunder was released, fans of the franchise immediately began to look at how it came out compared to the previous movie, making polls and writing reviews debating which film was the greater of the two. Many of the fans, of course, are siding with Ragnarok. Fans preferred the comedy in Ragnarok as it made more sense for Thor to behave that way. He hadn't yet experienced a lot of things that would happen either later in the movie or during the events of Endgame, 2 years later. Fans also preferred Thor working alongside Loki once again in Ragnarok. Not only do the fans love the two brothers in action, Loki, the god of mischief, is one of the most beloved Marvel characters, so Tom Hiddleston not being included in the film made people lean even more to Ragnarok. Even though Loki being in the film makes perfect sense due to the timeline, fans still couldn't help but miss him. Overall, it seems like even the fans who enjoyed Love and Thunder still thought that Ragnarok was the superior movie out of the two. Let's take a second to look at some of the positive reviews from the film. One thing not a single soul complained about was the phenomenal performance given by the actors and actresses throughout the film. The titular Thor, played by Chris Hemsworth, has received nothing but praise, as did his co-star Natalie Portman for her work as the character Jane Foster. Tessa Thompson got praise as well for portraying Valkyrie again, which was well deserved. Who most fans gave their praise though was Christian Bale, the veteran actor who took on the role of Gore the God Butcher, who is the villain of this film and who many fans say was the best part of the entire movie. The actor has shown us time and time again since he started in the 90s that he is an incredible actor. Showed us once again as Gore, just in case there were any watchers who still needed to be convinced. The inclusion of Bale as Gore was not all positive for the movie though. However, while Christian Bale's amazing performance came out to be an added bonus for Thor: Love and Thunder, it would also turn out to be a huge downside for the movie as well. Many fans of the movie felt that Bale was utterly underused. Some had wished the focal point of the movie was more on him than it was on other things within the plot. Next, let's look at the problem fans had with the plot of the film. Many fans weren't too interested with the direction the film had decided to go in. There were many moments within the film that made it seem like more of a romantic comedy than an action-packed superhero movie. Writer and director Taika Waititi had in fact made it his plan to, as he put it, freak the fans out, and not in a good way. And while fans didn't freak out, they did take a strong disliking to the romantic aspect of the movie. Waititi took fans' depiction of Thor being a big hero and decided the last thing fans would want to see the strong god of thunder doing was be in love. Chris Hemsworth, the star of the film, described the new Thor film as a romantic comedy set in space. Many fans didn't like this for two reasons. One being that it takes time away from Thor being a big bad action hero and spends that time instead on lovey-dovey scenes. And the second being that it took away time for the incredible performance that Christian Bale gave as Gore the God Butcher. Unlike the CGI in this film, film, Taika Waititi did not mock the film for this reason, as it was his goal to tarnish the character they've known before. His goal with this film, as the previous, was to break down the character of Thor and rebuild him. Let's next talk about the pacing of the films. Fans also pointed out that the film goes too fast for their liking. With this film being in the list of shortest Marvel movies, there would have to be more things crammed into less time. The time being under 2 hours, many things had to be cut out and switched around, including scenes featuring the great Jeff Goldblum, which Waititi said would never see the light of day, claiming they simply weren't good enough. There are transitions in the movie from scene to scene that just seemed too forced. Fans have said that the movie as a whole feels like it's rushed. Trying to make a movie in as little time as possible is difficult and damaging to any movie, but it's even worse for a superhero movie that's supposed to maintain a steady balance between drama, comedy, and romance. The film undoubtedly would have been fixed if there were a longer runtime for the film, more timing to focus on each focal point individually, and see each plotline wrapped the way they were originally intended to be wrapped up, as opposed to having to rush and make up a plot wrapping quickly and on the spot. Finally, let's discuss the lack of screen time the best characters received. All throughout this video, we've discussed problems with the movies that lead up to this. Some of the greatest characters in this movie simply were not shown enough. Throughout the film, this could also be attributed to scenes having to be cut due to timing, but it can also be due to flaws in the writing. Flaws like Gore's backstory just falling flat and ultimately holding back. Compared to the traumatic experiences he endured in the comics, this film was like nothing for him. Gore was not the character audiences were upset they didn't get to see more of. Natalie Portman's character Jane Foster was criminally underused considering her importance in the Thor films. This is not to say that audiences and critics alike did not absolutely love Jane Foster's appearance in this film. She was wonderful, and her inclusion was emotional and ever so beautiful, even if there wasn't nearly enough of her shown within the film. The film also could have benefited by showcasing some of what happened to her in the time between. Fans found there was a lot of interesting concepts the film could have explored, but simply decided not to. Some found Thor to be boring and trying too hard to be funny, while others thought the jokes hit their mark and the rest of the film kept them interested and entertained. What did you think? Do you plan on watching this film? Let us know in the comments below.